Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Web Designer Reacts. And what we're going to be doing today is a bit like last time. We're going to load up Product Hunt and we're going to just open up a load of their tabs. We're going to look at how they're selling on their home pages, how the products are trying to come across, what messaging are they doing well, what could be improved, with the whole point of this being around how can we help SaaS companies better sell their products so they get more users in the first place. So let's get going. Okay, so super quickly, if you've not used Product Hunt before, and I'm not going to do this in every single video, but if you haven't been to Product Hunt, I love Product Hunt. I love checking out different pieces of software, what's coming out. It's not only useful to find additional tools that might be good for our business straight creative, but it's also really useful just to see how people are designing items. So let's get going anyway. Now, as a reminder, I want this to be a genuine React video. So I've loaded up a load of random tabs and we're going to look through them together. And I'm going to give you some viewpoints on how I might improve them as a web designer. Okay, so we are on Turnip. Big obvious title, time tracking for freelancers. So at least that's really clear. It feels like it's very much app focused rather than a web thing that I would download, which seems fine. I would say that the color palette is super muted, right? It's almost like dark mode, but not quite. Things like this contrast up here don't really stand out with that free download. In fact, is this a... Can I go? Oh, that's better. There you go. There's a day mode. That's much easier to read. You'll see here now the contrast on that free download button really stands out. It's a lot easier for me to see. I'm going to keep it in dark mode, so I'm just looking at it in its worst version to try and give you guys all help. So that's one thing to really consider, right? Obviously, we've got these ideas of what we're working with. Presumably, if you're a freelancer, these free agent and FreshBooks are particularly good for that sort of space, which is cool. And then we've got some explanation as we go down. The menu's now changed, so we've got this that's then pulled in. It's following us down the page. The Turnip logo feels slightly too large, or large for the bar, or the bar needs to be slightly bigger, I would say. This feels a little bit tight over here on the left-hand side with that logo. Always by your side, there's an understanding here, but I don't think that these clips don't necessarily give me an indication of what it's doing, whether they need to have some animation or some explanation. That I think that could be better explained. And again, I think the problem is they've almost done dark mode and light mode, that actually there's no high contrast to really draw his attention. Like if we switch back to this, I guess the whole tool is it can be in light mode as well, right? But that actually looks better. You've got this black frame. This stands out a lot more. It's a lot easier to digest that information, a little bit fresher. Maybe it's my old person eyes, right? I'm 37 now, so maybe it's that. But yeah, this feels okay. Like it's showing us the individual elements. I think these titles are too generic. It's not really selling me. Work smarter, not harder is super generic, right? Use their statistics and charge. I feel that we could do a lot more with that sort of information. Seamless offline integration is fairly useful. More money, more time. Just generic terminology, right? Like these could be way, way better. Designed for, and that's quite a nice photo, to buy into that. And pricing is quite nice, right? I don't know how to buy. Oh, it's this button down here that doesn't stand out at all. Cool. It's this button down here, and obviously it takes you to that Mac area there. So, okay, fine. An okay start. I think there's definitely improvements that could be done here. The overall contrast feels poor. I guess some of this content def needs to be heavily improved, right? Not just from the large titles, but the information that's on here. And I feel like we do a lot better job of really selling this to me if these were animated or had some form of movement going on. So next on the list is Sofa, which looks pretty interesting, a little bit different. Be more intentional with your downtime. This, I don't know, why is this here? This feels slightly strange. Feels like a waste of space, if I'm honest. I think the icon's meant to represent how gaming, music, and everything gets pulled together. But I also feel like that's what this is meant to show at the bottom. And this just feels super cluttered. Don't know if it'll show up on the video if I go into inspect element. Oh, that feels better, doesn't it? There needs to be a little bit more padding above this, be more intentional. But that automatically feels a little bit easier to read. So might be something to consider. I'll just refresh that page so we've got that back. Okay, so either way, I think that needs a little bit of tidying up. I haven't seen like 3D buttons on things in ages. Like 3D buttons feels really, really old school. I don't know if that's making a comeback along with baggy clothes like the 90s, but these buttons feel super retro in their overall feel. I can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing, in all honesty. But let's carry on down. So we've got, this is obviously busy, but it's meant to show a visual representation of what's in here. And then we do have these kind of bright colors. Again, like my brain doesn't really like these 3D feeling elements. They feel a little bit old school, but and not the end of the world. So never feels like a chore. Most apps we use today are designed for work, so it's trying to show the benefits, which is quite nice. I would say that if at any point we are giving the user an indication of why they might want to sign up for something, we should always have a CTA, which stands for call to action. It's like a button that user would hit to buy that thing there and then. And we don't have that here, right? Like, okay, yeah, this sounds good. I'm going to have to scroll back to the top of the page. I'm going to have to find the button again. Okay, so more organized in your notes app. So is this interactive? I feel like this should be a video. No, okay. I know we spoke about this before, but like contrast is really key, right? Like if we want something to stand out, it should really stand out to the user if we want it to be clickable. The other thing is, which feels a little bit weird, is there's no hover animations. So like, as my cursor goes over this, yes, my cursor is changing, but that's just kind of built into the operating system. That button should change color, or it should have some movement or something to make it really clear to the user that these can be interacted with. A bit of personality, I guess, with these kind of sofa things. But again, there's not actually like, hey, sign up button. It's just a features one. Everything, I guess, really good things are this information is really digestible. So small icon, title, a little bit of information. It's a nice, easy way to make all of the content really digestible. It feels very samey, but that's not necessarily the end of the world. Super sofa in its darker color, enhanced lists. Okay, like I kind of want to know the pricing. I feel like that should be probably referenced by now. Well, there should be a menu on show for me to click. I don't care about this person at this precise moment in time. That sounds overly harsh. These are quite good credibility building. I feel like credibility building should be way higher up the page and probably multiple times, right? Let's have a little bit of credibility fairly quickly. Then let's reference some other elements. The fact it's got an editor's choice is really good, but I don't think that's referenced anywhere near the top or maybe any stars it's got or how popular it is. Those sort of things feel really useful. The fact that they're all the way hidden down here, be interesting to see how far down the actual page people get. And again, like this is really good, right? Nearly 2,000 reviews. That's great. Like we should be referencing that way higher up the page, even if it was just like a title or a 5 stars with the 1.9K ratings. Like that would make a lot of sense. And again, like I'm being forced into a newsletter sign up where at no point am I being offered to download until I get all the way to the bottom of the page. This just feels like some real lost opportunities to kind of push me to sell because people are silly, right? And if I have to scroll all the way back to the top of the page, I might just decide not to sign up, and people are as simple as that. So you've got to give them the options to be able to sign up. Overall, okay. It feels a little bit 2000s in its overall kind of feeling with some of these buttons and stuff. And I do think a couple of these areas, like with this icon, could be tidied up a little bit cleaner, but overall, okay. Okay, next one that we are looking at, your career for life on-demand insights. Okay, this sounds quite interesting. Here's a nice example of contrast, right? Big white button on here. And you'll also see, this is what I'm referencing previously, that there's just a slight change in color, so it's obvious that that element can be interacted with. Menu stays on show, which is useful, although I think this sign up button should have some high contrast to it. And this is going to be one of the slight issues that you get with when you try to keep your site super stylized with just like 2-color black and white. And I guess there's a little bit of gray here. It makes it hard to make individual elements stand out. We could really do with a tertiary color here, just on some of the really key elements like the sign up areas, like some of these buttons on the right hand side. But document your career journey, record it, build your experiences. Like, why would I do this? I think this is what I'm slightly worrying with. Create your account profile, document moments. Okay. I guess there's a video that I could watch here, but I've probably already lost interest by this point. But again, that might be me being overly harsh. Provides personalized data-driven career insights. Okay. And then we get down to the bottom. There's no option for me to like, hey, have you read enough? Do you want to sign up? Want to learn more? I guess visually it looks really nice. It's simple in its overall style, but there's definitely more that can be done with it. I do think a tertiary color should be introduced, and I'm a little lost on the overall benefits of why I would use this. I think those could be better come across. And again, I'm purposely not reading every individual page, right? The thing to bear in mind is that users probably won't either. If we've not captured them fairly quickly, they'll probably just leave the site. So the argument of, well, that's covered on my features page or that's covered on so-and-so page isn't always valid. And especially one thing to remember here is, pushing the user to sign up as soon as they land on the page is really, really good. It's a nice idea. You never know if it's going to happen. But the likelihood of them doing that thing without seeing the rest of the page is pretty low unless they visited the site before. So we might need to have a secondary CTA here to be like, want to see the features in detail, and then they can cycle through to those a lot quicker. This looks pretty cool. Paddle boat. So here we go. Perfect. That's a funny way of saying it. Perfect your sales pitch. Realistic AI. Okay. Is this clickable? I feel like this should do something. No. Okay. I guess I can enter my email. Nope. Can't click on that. There you go. Don't know why I did that. I'm just going to type in something just to see. Okay, so that then kicks in when I type that in. Okay, fine. And then you've got this like book a demo button. Again, very little interactive point with this book a demo. This looks quite nice, but I would and almost anticipating it playing me a recording to show me what that looks like. Maybe that's going to come eventually. We do have some credibility building, so we're using logos of who is trusting us to build credibility, kind of the, keeping up with the Joneses. These people trust us, which is nice, but I feel like this should scroll way quicker. It seems to stop. Don't know, has a weird movement to it. Really weird. I feel like that should move way quicker. We've got lots of people to run to. Okay, customize role play. So these are nice. None of this is interactive. It feels really strange. It feels like the site's really unfinished. Like it feels like I should be able to go, let's see an example of what Arthur looks like. Let's see what an example of Skull looks like. I should be able to click into these. And I can't, and that feels really weird. It's an area of the page that I guess visually explains something, but doesn't tell me enough to make me interested. Take yourself apart for paddleboard, free up hours. So again, this is quite useful for roleplay feedback. It's showing us an understanding of it. I don't know necessarily what these XP things mean. Presumably there's some form of gamification of it. Accelerate sales excellence. So again, that makes sense because we can do lots of roleplay fairly quickly. And you can get, and I guess this is very much a sales tool, right? Makes a lot of sense. To be honest, I'm kind of tempted to try it out. I think it looks pretty cool. Credibility building is actually probably the best thing about the site. These are what I would refer to as like a classic testimonial. So you want to have a title, you want to have the testimonial itself fairly short, just so people can read it quickly. We want a photo of the person, the name of the person, and the company. And the reason for that is that some people might not recognize the face, but they might know the name. Some people might recognize the face, but not know the name. Worst case, if they might recognize the logo or name of the company. And then the last one, which is really beneficial, is just, can I relate to that job title? So, for example, this one down here says head of talent. Oh, I'm a head of talent, so that's useful. Oh, it's also used by co-founders. Oh, it's also used by head of sales. Like, those are really beneficial to have all of that information in here. And obviously, we do have this book a demo that's being constantly referenced. Obviously, there's no indication of pricing on the homepage, which isn't the end of the world. There is pricing here. It feels strange that the pricing isn't in the main menu because I would imagine most people want to get to that fairly quickly. And for me, if I can't see an option for pricing and I have to book a demo, I immediately think the entire product is really, really expensive. So let's have a quick look on here to see if it references. Yeah, so the fact it's not referenced would suggest to me it's probably very expensive. Take from that what you will, if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's something to consider. That's how users think. Okay, bring the boom. Here we go. I feel like a really old person as I said that. Very uncool. But anyway, let's go with it. Okay, opening nice example. There's a couple of really nice visual things happening here, right? First off, the site obviously looks lovely. We've got some color going on in the background. This color over here makes this start your 14-day free trial really stand out. And there is a secondary version for us to watch this video in detail, which is really nice. We've obviously then got an example of the actual product in use straight away. A little bit more obvious when the page first loaded, so I'll just refresh that page. But he's got these smiles. This has got you're on mute. He's got an example of his name being pulled on. Presumably that's this software, is it? Don't know. Got a little video of James Harden popping up there. So yeah, it looks quite cool to start with. I also really like the fact that we're immediately telling the user visually what this works with. So it works with Zoom, it works with Teams, Hangout. That's a really nice, easy way of getting that across. We've obviously then got credibility building, again, as I referenced in that last video. Classic kind of icon logo, build credibility by showing the people who are using it. Really surprised some of these companies are using it, but I guess that's quite cool. Quite a nice transition there as we go down. Standing out in a sea of talking heads. This is quite nice. That was a strange animation. This feels slightly broken. Don't know, it might be my screen. Camera presents. These are nice. These are nice visual, bright ways of demonstrating. Oh, so this is part of it. So you can put in your name and you can have some information. So that's quite nice. Really nice visual way of showing it. Full screen to share screen. What's going to happen there? Oh, that's cool. Oh, so rather than just sharing the screen like you would in Teams, it can show you how it might present it slightly differently. It's a nice little touch as well. So again, it's doing it really nicely. The menu, of course, is also being pulled in. We're referencing features, pricing, and then obviously our big 14-day free trial. As I mentioned in the last video, for me, pricing should always be referenced. If the pricing isn't referenced, it's probably going to be super expensive, and that probably puts a lot of people off. Obviously, if you are super expensive, that's just the cost, right? These are quite nice as well. These are very benefits driven, focus on details, share screens anywhere. It's quite a really nice way of showing it. Even like this, hey, press the options button on your keyboard, and this is how you magnify. Share your screen anywhere by pressing these buttons. It's a really nice visual way of doing it, actually. Get ready for your next call. Yeah, overall, this looks really strong, right? There's not necessarily loads to change on this, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if it's just because I've got a lot of tabs open and I'm recording this video, but everything's taking a little bit too long to jump in. But yeah, plug and play all sounds really good. Yeah, overall, this one there's some weird parallaxing going on there, and it feels like it's broken. Yeah, I think this is presumably my computer is struggling with this, with so many things that I'm doing in the background. But yeah, overall, I think that's pretty nice as well. Okay, we're on to our final two now. So we're pulling in Product Hunt right to the top of the page. Again, for the particular industry they're probably going after, aka someone like me who loves Product Hunt and loves to try and be as productive as possible, it makes sense to have that kind of reference right near the top of the page. We've got some nice contrast to the CTAs, and then we've got this nice little element here to build some credibility of the number of people using this system. So that's really nice. I'd argue that should we be referencing and pushing people straight out to your social media there and then? Probably not. I'd probably remove these. And then there's I wonder if there's any sound on this. Let's have a look.
Complex planning, making strategy execution.
Okay, so there is sound on that. I feel like probably if that's going to play and the sound is going to explain everything, there should probably be captions over the top of that. And there probably needs to be a play button or something to add sound to make it a little bit more obvious rather than just the standard YouTube embed system. I guess I wouldn't necessarily know that could be interacted with. Again, classic credibility building. We've seen this on pretty much every single one. We're referencing Product Hunt twice, but that's fine. This is nice, kind of showing how many hours we could possibly save. That's quite a nice way of doing it. These feel, I guess, simple, overly simple. I feel like there should be an icon. It feels like almost something hasn't loaded in properly. And again, kind of referencing back that at every point we should really be asking the user for the sale. So it's like, hey, do you want to sign up now? Do you want to do this? This feels like a real wasted space opportunity. I feel like there's a lot more that could be done with this. Numbers speak for themselves, 50% more. I think anytime you see a really flat number, they feel fake. So 50%, where's that number come from? 100K clicks saved, how is that proven? Like, it would be great to have an understanding of that a little bit more. And then organize your tasks. Again, cut the clutter. This text is really quite hard to read. Again, this might be my old person eyes, but I feel like the contrast between those is pretty poor, especially because you've got this gradient. So actually, if we started with this dark purple at the top of it, it probably, like the word upload here is a lot more readable than the word pointers in the bottom right corner. So there's some contrast ratios that need to be considered, especially with people with varying levels of eyes, right? It's the right term, but you know what I mean. Here's what you need is grow on here, unify, click every moment. And then, yeah, we've got some different options. It feels weird to me that we're highlighting this one with such emphasis when there's nothing there for me to even purchase. I feel like they should swap those two colors around. Like, hey, it's the £19 a month one, which you want to sign up for, you want to do now. This feels weird. Or just don't even have that. Or change the color of it. Yeah, that feels a little bit strange. And then we've got loads of CTAs here. So we've got buy now, try for free, and get started. I don't think we need all three of those. I mean, that can probably just be cleaned up. Let's have a quick look in the code. That feels better, right? No need for that other area. So something like that would make more sense. And then I guess here we've got a separate CTA down there. So yeah, quite nice. Simple in its overall style. I feel like a lot of sites are doing this kind of layout at the moment. Not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, similar overall style. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay, this is the last one we are going to be looking at. It's called Milestone. Very similar in, I guess, layout, or at least opening layout anyway, to the last one we just looked at. Big opening title, centrally aligned with some credibility near it, and then a video there. Obviously, they are highlighting, these are presumably our product of the day, week, and month are all product hunts. So I guess that makes a lot of sense. Real high contrast option here for this book a demo, which is quite nice. And let's see what happens when I click on this. So if I press play, I don't want to have to press play again. Little small simple change there.
Hi everyone, my name is Anastasia, I'm CEO of Milestone.
And then confusingly, the website that they then load up is different looking to what the video is. So I'd say 2 very quick wins there, right? If I press the play button, just autoplay when it loads up, and then make sure the 2 tie in. Now, obviously, this doesn't look hugely different, but it does look different. So just that's got to be taken into account, right, with what we're doing here. This obviously feels way better as well. We've got this, so it's interactive, it's no code, perfect for startup, so it's okay, that makes sense. I guess if I watched that video, this would give me a much better understanding of what it is. But at the moment, I'm now scrolling down the site, a little bit unsure about what the product is. Again, I appreciate that not everyone's going to watch that video. Oh, here you go. So this is better. It's going to try and explain it in a little bit of detail to me with these sort of animations. Going back to the very first one that I mentioned here on Product Hunt, that I was like, I wish there was some little animations to show me what would happen in that turnip one. This is a much better idea of kind of what I was trying to represent here. One thing from a color contrast point of view is we're really highlighting step 1 with this yellow color, but then the actual button to interact with doesn't stand out as much. I would potentially switch those 2 around, although I do quite like this hover state on here. Start for free, which is nice. Presumably it's always just start for free. So these do work quite nicely. It's very simple in its overall kind of system. You don't have to go crazy design. It's a little bit repetitive, but it doesn't matter because it's really getting across the whole point of it. And then there's some gamification feature sets. So animated rewards, branching. These are really quite nice. These are what are called an unorthodox grid. So an unorthodox grid is where it's a grid layout, but they're all slightly different sizes. It's a nice way of showing it. And with these individual elements, is a great way to get it across. As I'd mentioned, a couple of the other ones, I think testimonials are really key. I probably want them slightly higher up the page. But overall, those are quite nice. And then we get down to the bottom. So that is my review. I guess from a point of view of how I react, I think there's been some fairly good ones. There's definitely things on most of them that could all improve. We've had 1 or 2 that were really overall nice. But I'm hoping if you run a SaaS product that you can see some of these things that I'm kind of reacting to and referencing, and they might give you some ideas on your own sites on how you can tweak them to increase the likelihood of more people signing up in the first place. If you've got any other ideas of what you would like me to be reviewing, if there's any particular SaaS products you want me to focus on, I don't mind doing some dedicated ones, even if it's for your own product, please let me know. I've got some other videos you can kind of check out either side around here. And obviously, please do subscribe as well. I'm very much new to this. I'm still learning on the job, but I'm enjoying it. Have a great day. Bye.